Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is a PP&E purchase that contains multiple components. So it may be a purchase of a large piece of machinery, but there's several identifiable portions of that machinery that could be potentially depreciated separately. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, assess the situation. Second thing, make sure that the definition of IAS 16 is met within the handbook. So that is, are the assets held for sale in the use of production or supply of goods and services? And the second is, there's expected to be use for more than one period. And what would happen is, you may have purchased a capital asset that potentially has a component, spare parts for instance, that is not intended to be used for more than one period. And if that's the case, it needs to be analyzed as a potential piece of inventory. And you wouldn't depreciate, you would actually expense as you used up these spare parts, for instance. So the next thing you want to do, conclude on how you want to treat the individual components of this PP&E. And then you're going to look at recognition. A, is it probable there will be future economic benefits? And B, can costs be measured reliably? So if both those are met, you've met your recognition. And within recognition, you also want to look at the importance of relative cost for each one of the components of the PP&E. So if the costs are significant for each component, say each component factors in about 15 to 30% of the total cost of the asset, you can most definitely componentize this asset and depreciate each component individually based on their useful lives. So once you've done that, you will determine obviously the relative cost of each one of the components, and then you'll do your journal entry to adjust for whatever was incorrectly reported initially. And then ultimately you want to conclude and advise, and within this you most likely should state the new depreciation accounting that you're going to be using with regard to each individual component. So that's property, plant, and equipment with multiple components. And yeah, I hope everyone's doing well with their studying.